I really don't know if you can remember. Just try and remember those days and time when you were a child and your mom used to tell you, or your dad, don't take gifts from strangers. Remember your parents used to tell you that? Well, turns out they were telling you this for a reason. Africans are children who've been taking sweets and they've been taking incentives from strangers. Once they were strangers, they became familiar and then they became strangers. The strangers I'm speaking about, I'm speaking of the colonizers who came here as strangers, white like limestone. They stayed here like this was their own continent, this was their own country. And then when Africa was having its independence, they left. And now they became strangers again. Now they're trying to come back, and they're coming back in a different way. They're coming back trying to give us incentives, just as they used to give our forefathers, our ancestors, so as to sell other Africans and to sell other people of African origin to them. Right now, what is happening, there's a legislation that has been implemented in the Kenyan Constitution on farming. Anybody who is trying to practice agriculture, be it on a large scale or be it on a small scale, there is a high taxation that is being placed on farmers. Yes, large or small, does not matter. No, Bill Gates is not greater than God. There is somebody who is greater than him, and that's the Most High. So Kenyans are really complaining about this. And amongst these Kenyans is a video I'm going to show you about a Kenyan lady who is really complaining, and she's going to give us in-depth analysis of how this program is going to operate. So let's dive in without further ado, and then I shall share with you my thoughts by the end of the video, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis.
Hey, legislators, when you table, debate, and pass some of these bills in parliament, do you ever stop to think how these things affect people on the ground? I woke up this morning to a newspaper article that's really shocked me. The Standard, 19th of September, 2024, page 10. And I keep wondering, was it a mistaken article? Is it real? But then I remember the bills that have been passed progressively over the years, especially the recent years and even this year. The agriculture bill, the livestock bill, and then there's this one I've come across, the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill 2023. And it makes sense. Actually, I think we are not mistaken. I'll just read some of the content of that article. The government is preparing to enforce stringent farm regulations that could prevent more than 3 million farmers from selling fruits and vegetables in the Kenyan market. The mandatory rules, which the government has stated, will be anchored in law. Presented publicly as a food safety measure, the Standard applies over 500 new rules for farmers that could cut off supplies of 90% of the country's locally consumed fruits and vegetables. I'm just picking different parts of the article. Farmers will be required to apply for the National Environment Management Agency NEMA licenses to grow vegetables at a minimum cost of 10,000 per license. Carry out soil and water analysis at a cost of 2,500 to 5,000. Pay for certification with a national or international standard certifier, and prepare dozen records including analyzing the nutrient content of any compost or manure they use. A study of Kenyan smallholder farmers done by Mercy Corps found that 2/3 of farmers earn less than 7,740 a month from their produce, although the average earnings from fruit and vegetables is higher. In an interview, the spokesman for the Horticultural Crop Directorate HCD of the Agriculture and Food Authority AFA, Collins Otieno, confirmed that all farmers will be required to adhere to the standards, which also require farmer IDs, plot records, and growing records to be kept and submitted to every produce buyer. So meaning when a buyer comes to your farm, you have to show them your certifications, because you'll see why. HCD, as well as other agricultural organizations, including the large farmer lobby groups, the Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya and FPEAK, as well as international agricultural organizations have confirmed the rules will be mandatory for farmers selling produce in Kenya. I imagine one way of follow-up would be if you're a broker or a middleman, a retailer, an officer can come to your shop or come to you at the market, or as you offload your goods and find out which farmer sold you those goods, and they can trace that farmer. So the retailer, the distributor, the middleman has a responsibility to ensure that they are only buying from certified farmers. So through that follow-up chain, it will be very easy to catch any farmer who is not compliant. So it affects the whole value chain. So of course, that's a good framework. That's a good framework for ensuring compliance. The issue is just, for me, really, these costs that farmers have to incur to farm, and how they affect the value chain and the pricing and food security. According to an analysis of the Kenyan smallholder farmer, these crops earn the country's farmers an average total monthly income of 21,115 a month. The new rules have been laid out in the Kenya Standards 1758-2016 Horticulture Industry Code of Practice. Before sowing a seed, farmers will be required to get an environmental impact assessment license from NEMA, which costs a minimum of 10,000 shillings. Moreover, despite more than half of the farmers having only a primary level education and an average age of 60 years, if they use animal manure or compost, they will be required to calculate its nutrients and analyze the impact it has on their crop yields. To use pesticides in their farms, horticulture farmers will be required to prove they have recently attended a course on using pesticides or hire someone trained in mixing and handling pesticides. To get a certificate in pest control, they will need to undergo a 2-week course, which costs 60,000 shillings. Based on the other regulations from, I think it was the Agriculture Bill, there was something about some institutes that will be training and giving certification, and I think this is where that one is connected. But I was wondering, instead of these high charges to farmers and their workers, since some of these regulations are coming under the county government, what would be so hard in having a collaboration between the county government through the sub-county offices, probably the deputy county commissioner, who also works with the chief, Ministry of Agriculture, and have regular sessions with farmers in those localities where they come for real training. They can even pay 100 or 200 shillings for certification, and that way, because the jurisdiction is small, the proximity of this group of farmers is small, and they are within the reach of these government institutions, it would be very easy to regulate that way, as opposed to having people pay huge amounts of money for courses in those institutions. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. So the KS 1758 certifications themselves will be done by the national and international certification bodies, including Bureau Veritas, which have keenly pursued the development of the compulsory standard. No information is yet available on the direct cost of the final certification process per farmer, but standard certifications typically cost $3,000, $6,000 each. I don't know, but I'm just shocked. I've tried asking other farmers today, have you seen this? Am I reading too much into it? And I've met some really angry farmers. There's just this feeling that we especially small-scale farmers, we are being driven out of farming. It's like when you look at these costs, you wonder, where is consideration for food security? We keep singing about food security and trying to bring this and the other to ensure food security. But what will happen to food security if this discourages many farmers from continuing with commercial farming? What will happen to the cost of production? The farmers will need to pay more for those who will kazana and be able to meet all those expenses. we will need to sell, say if I'm a mango farmer and I've been selling this mango at 20 shillings, I'll need to sell it at probably 30, 40 shillings to survive. And what will the retailer sell it at? Probably double that. So what happens to the cost of food? I don't know if you realize that the only people who will be able to afford farming are the rich. The rich, the political class, people with large tracts of land, people with a lot of financial muscle. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm missing something or I'm just wondering. Which way Kenya? As in, which way are we going? We are not refusing standardization. We do not refuse that we need to be sure. I keep talking about food safety all the time. But I wonder, we've been talking over and over, there's been a lot of controversy about this list of pesticides that have been banned in other countries, but we are still using them in Kenya. And there's a refusal to ban those pesticides. They've remained in the list, and there's a back and forth about it. So that remains as is. If we are really talking about safety, how come that has not been resolved immediately? How come that the issue of the toxic pesticides has not been dealt with? If really it is safety we are looking for, but we are going right to the farmer and using regulation that will cost more for the farmer and that will increase the cost of living, because the people who will pay for this are the common wananchi who are buying that food. So yes, we need food safety. We need to be sure that there is consumer protection. But aren't there ways that are more affordable for the farmer to accomplish this? Ways that the relevant officials have closer contact to the farmers in those areas, those small areas like the county, sub-counties, the locations, to be able to facilitate this so that we reduce on costs and we ensure that we keep the cost of living down, the cost of food down.
Now, after carefully listening to the lamentation of the Kenyan farmers, I can tell you one thing. Nothing is never new under the sun. There's nothing new. Everything you see, every nasty things you see, the homosexuals, the school, the boyfriends doing that to their girlfriends doing that to their boyfriends, somebody sleeping with their own child. These are things which happened before. Actually, it's documented in the holy books. Nothing is new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. And if nothing is new under the sun, if they already happened before, it means there is a solution that the past used to control that problem that existed before. And I think Africans should use the same methodology that was used in the past to solve that problem, which is not new and also existed in the past. The thing which is happening right now is about the President of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. This man is very problematic. Not everyone is happy with this man. You can clearly see that he is the president. Every constitution, every draft, every proposal, every law has to pass through his office to become a law. Farmers are now complaining that they are being taken out of business. This is a method of taking out the small business farmers so that the big boys can thrive in the market. They think that the small farmers are being a hassle to them, but they don't think of one thing. These small farmers are ensuring food security is boosted. They are ensuring food is available for the greater population. You see, I told you there's nothing new under the sun, and I told you this for a reason. There's a man who was called Jeroboam, and there's a man who was called Rehoboam. Rehoboam was the son of the king, the wisest king, who was also the foolish king, King Solomon. He was the wisest and also he was the most foolish. Yep, what he did, considering what he did, he is foolish. Now his son is following after him. His son is placing high taxes. His son is making people to work without payment. His son is really abusing his community. Now the people come to Rehoboam and they tell him, please, could you mind dropping down some of these taxes? Do you mind being easy on us, kindly, not like your father who was very hard on us? The father is Solomon. Please, we beg you, do something good for us. He tells them, wait for 3 days, I shall come back and I shall give you an answer. He goes and he talks to the wise counsel. Every king always has a wise counsel. Even the presidents of today, who are like kings of the past, they still have wise counsel. Yeah, the President Ruto has wise counsel. Yeah. I wonder how wise these people are. But listen to this. Rehoboam, after getting complaints from his people of Israel, the people he's ruling over, he goes and asks the wise counsel what he'd do. The wise counsel tells him, no, what you should do here is listen to the people and adhere to what they want. That is what you should do if you want peace and satisfaction in your throne. You understand? After doing this, the young man goes to his young fellow friends. He asks them, what should I do to these people? Should I give in to their demands, or what should I do? The young people say, don't be foolish, my brother. You are the boss. Show them you are the boss. Show them you got it. You understand? Okay, he realizes, I am the boss. I'm going to show them I am the boss. He goes after 3 days passes, he goes back and he tells them, hey, listen up. I am the boss here. My father was making you work even. There's a certain line he uses. My father was whipping you with lashes, but I will whip you with the lashes that have scorpion on them. Scorpions are very poisonous, by the way. That is what Rehoboam tells the people of Israel, because he listened to foolish counsel from his foolish young people. But the wise counsel, he didn't listen to that. He thought the wise people were old and they don't know the matters of the society. This is what is happening today with Kenya. Kenya's President Ruto is like Rehoboam. He thinks that it shall never come to an end. But every moment, every time counts. There shall come a time when the people shall go against these bad governance. There shall come a time, because this is something which has happened in the past. In the past, we had the people of Israel who went against Rehoboam. It is through the headache, it is through the not listening of this King Rehoboam, is when we saw the division of Israel into Judah and Israel. He took Israel, and another man who came out, who was also a part of those people who were sending complaints to him, was Jeroboam. Jeroboam built Judah and Rehoboam stayed in Israel. Imagine not listening to your people has caused a division in your own country. That is what happened in the past. And it's nothing new. We had Sudan. Sudan was one country, South Sudan, but now we have North and South. We have Korea, North and South Korea. We have Ethiopia and Eritrea, which were once a country. We have India and Pakistan. You understand? Oppression is what brings people to divide. Oppression divides the power of a king. Now you are not as powerful as you thought. Somebody whom you despised now becomes the king. It's high time the president realizes the people of his country, Kenya, are fed up, and they're fed up so much. You understand? He is being paid by Bill Gates to ensure that Bill Gates has deals in farming. Bill Gates deals with laptops. Microsoft belongs to him. He deals with electronic things. He now deals with farming, the GMO. He now deals with human organs. He's a jack of all trades. Yes. And he's doing this in Africa because the African leaders have allowed him to do so. But just as I told you, again, I'm repeating, that which has happened today is something which happened in the past. Nothing is never new under the sun. And come what may, does not matter how long it will take, the people of Africa, we shall one day stand and they shall one day speak against the oppression that the people are facing of Africa. Does not matter how long, but it shall come to pass. The president in himself is a puppet. And it's high time he realizes that it is the people who elected him to power, but not himself. Yes, these EFK original documentaries. If you love my video, kindly give me a subscription. I will so much appreciate. Subscription, comment, do all that, I will appreciate. See you in the next one. You know, I'm also feeling pissed off by the president and his farming implementations. Now I can't even grow my sukuma wiki. I have to go and pay all that to grow my sukuma wiki. I can't have my own garden. I have to go and pay all that to have my own garden. And if I have my garden, I can't take it to my local market. I have to go and pay the government all that. I think people should be shown the rural sides of Kenya. People are living in a very, very dense poverty level. If you see people are angry for a reason. And a day shall come. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.